Welcome back to Transcriber from Reddit. Today's topic comes from the subreddit exLutheran, posted by user large_fee_106. As of recording, this was posted 5 days ago. The post is a text post titled, "My devout WELS Lutheran Mother said she will not attend our wedding and will not come to visit and meet my fiancé." The post is tagged as a rant post, and rant is in the light tan/gray color scheme. The body of the post reads as follows. Received a random out-of-the-blue text from my mother that she does not approve of my lifestyle and that she won't come to visit my fiancé because we live together. She went further by saying that my decision to, quote, turn my back on God, end quote, means she must move on from our relationship and that she did the best she could for me but failed. So, come this summer, when we get married in a Catholic church, by the way, note that the words Catholic Church are in all caps, my parents and younger siblings will not be there in the pews. This was devastating, and I guess I have to admit it now. The WELS won. My mother has cut me out of her life, and I am now officially estranged from my parents because of it. It is such a shitty feeling, and even though my fiancé tells me I did nothing wrong, I still feel like this is my fault. I also feel bad for my fiancé because I'm sure it's not a great feeling for her that her future husband's family didn't want to meet her and didn't show up to her wedding. I feel so low right now. I am actually depressed about it even. Bouts of sadness that my mother does not actually love me for being her son, to anger at the WELS Church and their slimy and disgusting pastors for further ruining my life even after escaping the damn cult. Rant over. ... As of recording, this has 52 upvotes and 22 comments. Before I touch on some of the comments, I want to emphasize to OP here. You are not at fault. It is your WELS Lutheran mother that is at fault. And your dad as well. Your parents failed you. This is supposed to be the happiest moment of your life. Any differences of religion should be put aside at this time to celebrate this supposedly being an addition to their family. But they don't even see it as being an addition to their family, let alone it being possibly the happiest moment in your life. All they can see is the difference of religion. I wish OP and their future spouse the happiest of weddings, and may their day go the best it can. And that regardless of what happens next, may they be there for each other. Don't let religion be this dividing wedge. I also want to note, I'm covering this not because it's just a WELS problem, because it's not just a WELS problem. Other churches do it too. However, the WELS makes it their problem by engendering this culture of feeling superior, that they are WELS, that they have Martin Luther on their side, and that everything they do is right. They also encourage this view by looking down on other religions as worse or less than. Even the best pastors in the WELS will encourage you to have a diminished view of other religions that are just Christian religions. They don't have to necessarily be other religions such as Islam, Hindu, Buddhist, etc. No, just even other Christian denominations. They will look down on them and tell you that your faith is less than if you go to one of their churches. They do this overtly and they do this covertly. And this is a problem they are not willing to stop. They are not willing to tell their congregants that just because someone chooses a different denomination does not make them less than in the eyes of God. Every denomination sees Jesus Christ and God the Father a little differently. And for the WELS to take that and spin it as they're going to be the only ones there because they're WELS and they follow the true religion, and every other Christian denomination does not follow the true religion and is therefore on some, and here's where sometimes they even the WELS will differ. Sometimes the WELS will outright say they're going to hell. Sometimes, in order to make them sound a little bit less harsh, they will say, well, it's not that I don't believe that Baptists or Catholics or fill-in Christian denomination here will not go to heaven, but I don't think they'll be at the same level, or I think their soul is in more jeopardy because they're not WELS. This is still encouraged at almost every WELS church ever. And this mindset needs to stop. This will be cross-posted to games denominations play because this is a denominational problem. And WELS as a denomination will choose to ignore it and act as if it's not a problem, even though the way they teach confirmation, the way that they teach children in religion classes, whether it's at the parochial school or high school level, that will never change. They will continue to do this unless more and more people leave and say things like this. Now, let's move on to some of the comments I want to highlight here below. User GenGen_B7351 commented, I hope you remember this moment when she gets older and needs your help, as I'm certain your siblings will eventually reject her cult when they're old enough to do so, and I hope that your siblings can reunite with you as soon as they're no longer under your parents' control. I'm sorry that it hurts in the meantime, and I truly hope that your in-laws love you so deeply that it eases the pain of the absence that WELS has created. Congratulations on your upcoming wedding. Dress emoji. Wonderful comment. Next comment. Comprehensive Love 897 wrote, I relate to your story so much. Many, many years ago, when I was engaged, my fiancé and I moved in together for about a year. My mom, parentheses, very devout WELS as well, end parentheses, barely spoke to me during that year and threatened to not give us her blessing if I didn't change the situation. She also secretly went to her pastor about it, and the pastor proceeded to send me a 4-page letter detailing how horrible my sins were, quoting all sorts of Bible verses, etc. It was one of the worst periods of time in my life. Luckily, we got through it and ended up getting married. My mom broke down and came to the wedding. My husband and I were married for 13 years until he passed away. Would you believe when I met someone new in my 40s and moved in together, my mother's church friends tried to intervene and tell me how awful it was that I was living with my boyfriend. I am a grown woman in my 40s. Note that the words I am a grown woman and 40s are in all caps. I'll do what I want, thanks. LOL. Hang in there. ... You and your fiancé can forge your own path doing what is best for the two of you. Sometimes you have to drown out the noise and focus on what's important. I had a beautiful first marriage and an amazing second marriage, and I don't think I'm going to hell because I lived with both of them before tying the knot. Another supportive comment. Beautifully written. Another user, McNitz, commented, "Sorry you are going through this. It is definitely not, quote, your fault, end quote, that your family's reaction to you living your best life is to cut off contact with you. The fact that your mother considers your relationship to be a bargaining chip to get you to comply with her desire to dictate your life is out of your control, and complying will not eliminate that behavior. It will only encourage her that it is an effective way to get what she wants. I hope she eventually realizes the mistake she is making and the harm she is causing based on just listening to other humans telling her that's what God wants. My parents also considered cutting off contact with my sister for living with her fiancé before marriage. Luckily, they were uncertain enough about this being the correct action that my siblings and I and my parents' pastor telling them that wasn't a good idea was enough for them to decide that wasn't a good thing to do. But it is still terrifying to think about the fact that if my parents had a different pastor that encouraged them to cut off their relationship with their children, they absolutely could have decided to do so. My mom has also told me that she was going to talk to her pastor about whether it was sinful to be sad about the possibility of me going to hell if I didn't believe. The level of thought/emotional control frequently exerted by the trained pastors in the WELS and welcomed by the congregation as leadership from those appointed by God is really unfortunate. I couldn't agree more. This comment is, again, it reinforces why I am covering this. It's not just a one pastor problem. It's not just a one church problem. It is a denomination problem, and it is in the WELS. And me saying it is in the WELS doesn't deny that it happens in other denominations. However, there needs to be more widespread acknowledgement of this fact. The WELS encourages it, or even if they don't overtly encourage it, they still encourage it in other ways, in their teachings, in their sermons, and in how they instruct children. And that is not a healthy way to live with other people. You can't just shut other people out because you disagree with how they live their life. And just because someone believes in Jesus a little differently than you does not automatically mean that they're going to hell. And the WELS needs to learn that. Thank you for watching and listening. I will see you in the next video. As always, the link to this post will be included in the description below. Thank you.
Break the hard chains of fate, roads we walk, we create, for our futures are wide and vast. To respect and respond, to add strength to our bond, 'cause the future